I love it.
Welcome, everybody, to the Tavern. I am your wonderful gatekeeper, tavern keeper for the evening. Not gatekeeper. That's a horrible thing to say. Let's not do that.
Well,
And tonight we have another wonderful guest. Tonight we have the Smoking Barrel Tavern. You noticed that maybe a couple weeks ago when we tried to get them on, they had a little bit of some internet issues. But we're glad they're back because I was really looking forward to this one because one tavern keeper to the other tavern keeper, it's kind of an interesting mix. And they have also allowed us to actually tell the story, which is even better. For those new to the show, the way this works is they're going to explain somewhere in their world, but they're not going to tell anything about their characters or who they are at the moment. And when they walk through a gate of some sort or a doorway, they're going to enter the tavern, and then we're going to start the fun. But before I do that, of course, I want to at least let the two of them introduce themselves and tell us a little bit of who they are, and then we'll start the story.
Hail, howdy, and well met. We are Elowen and Porter of the Smoking Barrel Tavern.
All right. Anything special you want to say before
perfect.
we start our story?
No, we're excited to be here and just share a little bit about what we do within the taverns. And yeah,
We're truly tickled and honored to be able to work with you as well. It's be fun.
Awesome. So, do you have a world that you have created in your own mind, or are you a game master, or do you have a world that you want to enter in from?
so DM,
Mm-hmm.
DM. Um, but this world that we took Elwin and Porter and created together has been slowly just building ever since we kind of put this whole thing
Thing together.
together.
Okay.
hmm
So, where would the two of you be at right now in your world?
So in our world right now, depending on who you are when you walk into the tavern, um, we technically would be at the bar.
Okay.
You'd probably see Porter just doing Porter things is the best way to put it,
Big hearty chuckles with the
Hey,
others.
nothing wrong with that.
and Elowin would most likely be OCDing over something, um, and worrying about making sure everyone's okay and that there's no weapons on the table and everything like that.
All right. So, making sure that everything is peaceful in the tavern. All right. And here'd be my interesting question: what would make the two of you go somewhere together without so that you're together during this moment?
I would say that we are a magnetic couple.
Okay.
We work well hand in hand. There's an electrical current, if you will, between the two of us, and the positive and negative poles that we create only work together.
So you'd probably see Elowin Porter out lending a hand somewhere
When
or adventuring with.
When Elwyn has a quest, Porter's there by her side. When
Excellent.
Porter has a quest, Elwyn's there.
Well, you were informed of a quest, and instead of as you walk out the front door of your tavern, you enter somewhere else. You thought you were heading outside, but instead you walk into a very small, quaint tavern. No one is around. Four sets of stools at the front, four tables, four chairs, all set up as if somebody should be here and that food is on its way. You see a group of lanterns floating in the air, almost like they're hot air balloons, almost, just bobbing slowly throughout the air. And you see the rocky formations of the stone that surround the edges of the tavern, and a large oak bar in the back. On the back of the wall, there are three items. One, a large head of a red dragon, a massive battle axe, and a winged helmet that sit above both. You glance up, you look, and you see the tail, and it says Mythweaver's Respite, the Tavern of Tales. And you hear a commotion through a set of double doors heading into the kitchen. Oh God! What happened? Oh, almost dropped it.
Well, howdy.
Oh, 1 minute! And you see a very burly, very overlarged dwarven man walk out from behind two sets of doors in a very simple but comfortable looking outfit. A white towel thrown over the side of his shoulder. And he says, "Welcome to the Tavern of Tales. Seems that you have something you need to tell me."
Mhm.
We seek refuge and quests galore.
Oh,
As we may have our own things at our own place, but it is interesting to be able to see somebody else's place, somebody else's quest.
oh, you are keepers of the tavern as well.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And might we add, this is quite an incredible setup you have here.
I can't take all the credit on that one. The wizard handed most of this to me. Just told me to take care of it.
Oh,
But I would like to pour you a
what is it?
drink as one tavern keeper
Oh,
to the
yeah,
next.
absolutely.
And he,
Would love to know what your special is here.
he pulls out a very small keg, probably about the size of a football, and places it on the counter with one hand. Grabs two glasses with one and with the other hand and slides them over. Pours what seems to be a very amber-looking ale from this keg. The keg should only have room for one glass, and yet it just keeps coming. As both cups are filled, he pours one for himself. He says, "The name of this beer or this ale has been lost, along with the name of myself. It's not my fault. It's just I've been here way too long. But we call it the house special." And he slides it over to you, each of you. Let me ask you,
Kindly.
where were you heading?
Currently heading out for more supplies of our own, but
Hmm.
also if we run into a little something, wouldn't mind taking on that quest, that
Mhm.
adventure.
Nice.
Always have to keep ourselves on our toes.
Absolutely. And it is nice to take a break every once in a while.
It really is. Although it's been a while since I haven't taken a break, so I feel like the axe is itching to get out there. But another tale for another time. So let me ask you something. What made you create your own tavern?
Well,
That's your story,
we
honey.
spent our lives we've spent our
You
lives
spent your
as wanderers. Even if it seemed like our lives were put together in some way, shape, or form, we were wanderers seeking mystery and adventure of many kinds. And well, on those many adventures, we noticed that the real adventure was being there for others, assisting, helping, serving. And we thought, what better way to do that than to serve drinks and advice, love and comfort?
and maybe hide from our father.
Amen to that.
Oh, don't know if you're ready to tell that tale or not.
No,
Dark Lord
no.
business, it's a tale for another time.
Definitely worth that drink that I gave you. So, what brought the two of you together then?
Well,
Oh. Oops.
I was wandering around in the forest and somebody decided to shoot me in the heart with an arrow.
It was once again not my fault that you stood in the way of your dog.
That's true. She
So,
Technically hunting.
so legitimately shot you.
Literally.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
She was hunting my dog. I've got
Big puppy.
a big puppy named Gibbous, and well, he looked to be a victim to a beautiful young maiden. I just wouldn't let that happen.
Wasn't that sweet?
It's a little corny.
So, with all your time together, you seem to be very close. What is the one moment that you remember where risk was had to be taken the most?
As there have been many times that risks were taken, there was a time where I had a choice whether I needed to go fulfill the my obligations that I needed to my families, and go help a neighboring village along with other people in my village, or stick around even though he said, please don't go.
And post after those moments, mine would have to be in a critical moment when nothing else was possible to ask for help.
To
Mm-hmm.
tell.
Well, these were the very first fine moments that I realized that I had the abilities of a cleric. And before then, I cursed the gods. I pushed them away. I found only curses within them. But when there was no hope other than this, I found solace in solitude and, well, in asking for help. And since then, I've always found humility in doing such things.
Very humble man.
Thank you kindly.
One point I did think that maybe it was worth it to become one of those clerics or paladins. But then I realized, as much as I wanted to do all that, I was a simple folk. A man that had one goal, to brew the best beer ever. Didn't really think that was really something that a cleric or paladin would do. But I did do one quest where I believed that there was actually that connection, and that's why that helmet sits up there. It's the winged helmet of the Ebon Phoenix. A tale, wow, long ago. One I've almost forgotten completely.
That's amazing.
Been here way too long.
Now, is it a trophy or is it a reminder?
I
Hmm.
think that one's a reminder. The trophy's the red dragon.
Oh yeah,
That head is.
quite
They wouldn't let me take
quite
the.
the head there.
They wouldn't let me take the other one home, so they said I take that.
Ah, that's
So,
too bad.
yeah. As you watch, you can see engravings across the stonework, words from others like yourself that have come to the tavern, each one their own tale. For those interested, those are the other tales of this show. But for you, these are tales from all different worlds, realizing that you're not really where you were, but you're not really where you were going. You're not really sure where you are. As some tales are told that speak of things that your world doesn't have, and other things of creatures that your world doesn't have, and vice versa. And he looks around and he points to a rock, a stone on the left side, about halfway up. And you look over, and in that same script, that same very delicate looking wizard script, your tale is starting to be written on the walls.
Say, barkeep,
Mm-hmm.
what is that?
Oh, seems your tale is good enough. It's being written on the walls for everyone else to see when they arrive. Give a little bit more inspiration and hope for those that might need it when they walk in the tavern.
Incredible.
It's a very special feature you have here.
It's a unique one that a good friend of mine who gave me this place told me that this was a tavern of tales, a place where all the stories of those that sat within it would reside and be held. I didn't really know what he was talking about back then, but after being here as long as I have, I watch as each stone has picked its own tale, and that seems to be the stone that picked yours.
Say, I've got a question for you.
Sure.
Are you are you happy where you are?
You'd be shocked at how many people ask me this question. And I'll tell you, as much as I enjoyed adventuring for the years that I did, I am happy. I'm happy that no matter what I do, new people show up at the tavern and tell me incredible tales, and those that might need a little bit of inspiration or, as you would put it, hope, can look up at some of these and either pick themselves out of them or find a spot that maybe will help them in a time down the road.
Isn't that something?
How do I find another tavern keeper to walk in? First one ever.
Out of all the places,
Out of all the
right?
places, one tavern to the next.
Of all the places they walk in, we walk in here.
Well, it is a nice. It's a nice change of pace from this perspective. I'll just say.
It seems very similar
For
as
sure.
to how our tavern is,
Yeah.
where for some reason it just shows up when you need it most.
When you need it most. Maybe I
That is
needed
exactly what.
a little bit of a pep talk tonight then.
That's why we're here.
That's right.
So let me ask you something. And as he does, he pulls out a very thin amber or green bottle, and it says the bottle of remembrance on it. He says, I bring this out when those that come here have something that they really need to get off their chest. Is there anything, anyone, any regrets, any hopes or dreams that need to really be said to in the tavern tonight?
Go for it. You got it.
Just remembering to take that time with people that you truly love and care for before you lose them. Because you never know when they'll go.
True. So you say that, he pulls out 3 very small glasses, pours one for each of you.
Mm.
As he slides the glasses over to you, he says, I want you to say the name of that person as you take this drink. And let it be peace to you as it was peace to me when the elves gave this to me.
I have one too.
You each have one.
Well, I would have to say, is this a drink?
This
I'll
is
take
shot.
the
That's
drink.
a bit bigger drink, but yeah, that's the one he poured you
It's
at
a
the
mint.
beginning.
It's a sample size. Don't worry. uh, I've got someone I could say the name of.
Sure.
Look at that. I win.
That's closer, yes. That's closer to what we're looking for.
Hold on. Is this moonshine?
Elven Moonshine.
That's a really good one.
This is, well, like I said, a sample size, a small gold. Yeah, I've got somebody. To my brother.
You know, 1, 2, 3. Right.
And as you drink
Fall
it,
it.
before you catch that moment, that last moment, you see your brother's name written in the liquid itself, and a sense of peace comes across your body.
Say, what is this?
It's given to me from the Wildlands many, many years ago by an elven ranger. He told me whenever I needed to have peace on something, to just think about it, and gave me that calmness that I needed. But you got to experience it firsthand of how it works when you get to see the name written in water. It's strange.
Yeah.
What's your brother's name?
His name is Fall It.
And what did you see, Owen?
Soraya. She was best friend.
The barkeeper has been many years since he's taken a drink of the wine of remembrance, and once again, the only one that he ever catches when he's taking his is Khaled, who is the wizard who gave him the tavern.
Mm.
Well, seems that you need to get back to your tavern, and I'll stay here with mine. And maybe one day we'll meet each other again. But the door's right
I would
there,
like
and you're
that.
welcome to leave when you like.
As you can leave and probably end up in ours also.
Hmm. Might have to find my way over there.
Whatever you need to. Yes.
Otherwise, we can do some trading, importing, whatever you want.
Ooh, now there's an idea.
We've got some really good dragon whiskey.
I'll pass you my ale, you pass me yours, and we'll have a whole new thing going on here.
Ale, whiskey, there we go.
Yeah.
Trade.
But at this point, you're allowed to walk out the door. The lights will start to slowly dim, and it's interesting because the tables are still set, the stools are still exactly where they were, and the only thing different is that down there there's another stone written with another story on it.
Remarkable.
And we are in print.
You're imprinted in the Tavern of Tales, correct?
We got our picture there.
And as you two of you head back through the door, the scene starts to fade to black, and we close ourselves down here in the tavern for the evening. And now is where we get to actually step behind the scenes and talk about Porter and Elowen. So, for those that have never been experienced the actual tavern experience, that is how we tell our tales for stories, for players. And now we have to figure out kind of where these characters came from. We found out that I believe we have at least, I know that there's a cleric in the party.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm going to guess Ranger because of the shot, but it could be also Druid. I don't know. I'm feeling Druid vibes too. So
It's Ranger.
Okay.
But it's off brand.
Off-brand Ranger. Okay.
Uses a little bit more magic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
uses a lot more,
So one thing I like to ask my guests when they
elements.
come in is 3 questions. One is,
Mm-hmm.
how long have you been playing? The two of you.
D&D or
TTRPGs in general, because I can't say
In
D&D
general?
anymore because
can't
of the fact
technically say
that my first TTRPG was not D&D. So, and that was a while ago.
Oh, goodness gracious. You've been playing for a long
We've
time
been
if you
playing
consider
for 7 years.
if
Okay.
you consider the game is it Hasbro? What is it called? Hero
Heroescape?
Quest?
Okay, Heroes Quest does not count. That was 1990 something. Okay.
Hero Quest.
I mean, that
Is a
does count
game.
because I've been playing since the 90s. So.
Yeah. Then we've been playing for a very long time.
Yeah.
But if you consider tabletop RPG
Mhm.
with a 7 set of dice or whatever you would call it, I've been playing for about nine years.
Okay.
Yeah. You've been
Roughly.
playing longer than me.
Yeah.
And you've done a lot more campaigns and
We're
DMing
we're
than I
closer
have.
to 10 now, but yeah, I've been playing for a while. I do DM now, forever DM, because I've made too many characters to be able to play them all. So now they're NPCs.
Awesome. That's the way to do it, right? As more characters you build, you're like, well, now I'm just going to add them to my
Turn
party.
them
You
into
know?
NPCs.
Exactly.
There we go.
But, so that's the second question I like to ask people is have you both picked up the mantle yet of Game Master?
I'm trying to get myself to do it.
There we go. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
I'm attempting. I have never been as grand as just pulling things out of thin air, and I get stuck a lot. So that's where it'll be interesting to watch.
I can definitely recommend taking a module and using it as a skeleton and then breaking off from that. That's the best way to for
100%.
most game masters to start because they don't.
Start.
Because that is the thing, right? Is game mastering, you either do small form and build outward, or you do outward and build inward. And if you're
Yeah.
doing it the second way, a lot of times it's very difficult because you're trying to come up with everything: government, deities, how magic works, how travel works, all this stuff, and it just can be overwhelming for many people.
Hmm.
Mm,
So I would recommend either one of two ways. Either one, find a module that you enjoy and start taking pieces and puzzle pieces of it and twist it your
mm,
own way. I love doing that. I almost indefinitely do that now. I did do homebrew for about 3 or 4 years, and then I said, you know what? I kind of like being able to tell the story that's out there, just with my own little fun twist.
mm,
Um,
mhm.
and Forgotten Realms is a very known thing for me, so I was like, oh, it's easy for me to just play the Forgotten Realms. So then I just do
Love it.
that. But
Love it.
Yep.
what is the almost the inspiration? What was the inspiration to get you into tabletop? Like, what caught your eye? What was that? If somebody was coming up to you and they said, "How did you get into this?" What would you tell them?
I'm laughing at my reaction to how what I said when you asked me.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, we were big we were big into like the video games like Skyrim,
Yeah.
Fallout,
Oh
all
yeah.
of that. The open world travel, going on quests, things like that. Um, I played a little bit of 3.5 in high school. Um, just with a club I joined.
Yeah.
Found it incredible. We both come from an acting background in high school. That's actually where we met.
There you go.
But the uh, the key thing was the big catalyst was, having a group of people that could all have the time to play at the same time.
Mm.
So we had enough of a drive, and we had someone who was willing to take the mantle, um, to be our DM, and yeah, it was fun. We played for a little while, moved around. Some of us core players tried to find other DMs, and eventually we got to a little well-known uh, campaign,
What do we like to call it? The
the
couple's
Couple's
quest.
Quest. And so we got a bunch of me and the guys got a bunch of our wives together.
But it was more like, how would you feel about playing Dungeons and Dragons? And I went, what?
That sounds dumb.
And
And
now I'm hooked.
yeah, it was a matter of convincing, and immersiveness,
Mm-hmm.
getting her into it, showing her the sparkly, beautiful colored dice, all that jazz. But it was, yeah, it was that quest, the couple's quest, was one of the key moments that made us realize that this is going to be something that stays with us forever. And let
We're
me
gonna teach our kids.
let me tell you, we're going to teach our kids, um, because there's nothing better than using your imagination to go on adventures. There really isn't anything better that we feel.
Mm-mm.
Um, and so yeah, it's a big part of our lives now.
Yeah, kids are. I've got two little ones myself, and starting to get them telling stories for them their own.
Hmm. Hmm.
I have a friend of mine that bought the D&D Adventure Club, which is really good for children. So just an idea for those that are out there with kids.
I'm gonna write that down.
It's a monthly subscription for teenagers and young children. So I
I
think it's like
love that.
$20 a month. It's nothing expensive, but yeah.
That's good.
Um, but yeah. So let's see here. So you said yours is more of the video game background side of things is what kind of drew you to Dungeons and Dragons. Um,
Mhm.
you,
And
Ellen, however, have said, "Ugh, what are we
yeah.
playing?" So what actually hooked you then?
It was the fact of we had a dang good DM. I give absolute props to that man
Yeah.
because he has the most creative and most like imagine like literally puts images in your head, and it is the craziest thing how he explains things. And it
Mm-hmm.
was literally just sitting with our friends and listening to him because the way he told his stories, and that just instantly got me like, this is pretty dope. This
Yeah.
is like reading a book, but not
Right.
because
He,
someone's
he's
just telling me a story.
he's still to this day probably the best DM we've ever had, and it was years ago.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
absolutely agree.
you see some of, and I'm not saying that new DMs are different, but you see a lot of the older GMs that are like now in their later years,
Hmm.
and they're the ones that carried around, three suitcases full of stuff
Yeah.
every
Hmm.
adventure. And you're
Yeah.
my first game master, and I was in high school at the time. My first game master was in his late 50s when we played. So I mean, he
Woo,
started from the beginning, and
a veteran.
he had a world just as big as Earth that was fully dealt. Like he'd pull out maps and all this stuff, and I'm like,
Crazy cool.
yo, like, where do you have time
How did
for
it
all
in your
this
head?
stuff?
Hmm.
How'd you pull this off?
I've
But
been
yeah, it
collecting.
was that was kind of the drive for me,
Mhm.
and then I really just always loved telling stories. I laugh about it, but my first experience with TTRPGs was not actually with TTRPGs, but with collaborative story writing. So that's how I got
Oh,
into
very
mine.
cool.
So I don't know. People know the company, and I say it all the time. People laugh about it. Is Neopets. So for those that played back in the '90s and early 2000s, that kind of thing, um, Neopets had a mentality where you could go and write on boards. And the first one I found at the time was a Dragon Riders of Pern by Anne McCaffrey, fan guild. And the idea was is you got to the guild master would assign you your egg, and you'd have to raise the dragon and all this stuff. And then it just became writing after writing after writing. And I didn't realize that there was games that did this. And it wasn't until almost 10 years later that I actually found games that did this in Dungeons and Dragons. So it was a unique experience for sure. Yeah. And now they're coming out with a Neopets TTRPG that just dropped like
Oh,
a month
no,
ago.
that's
It's
crazy.
crazy. I saw it at Gen Con this year, and I was like, there's no way.
You're
Um,
like, you know what?
but yeah. So what other TTRPGs have you guys played?
Oh man.
You've played quite a few.
Yeah. I mean, no, though. It's that's not simply true. I play
You dabble?
3.5. I have Hold on. There's a werewolf at the door. Hold on. One second. Come here. You might hear some borking. Um, yeah, no. The key one that we've actually stuck to is Dungeons and Dragons. We've done some deep homebrew where like
Mhm.
nothing but homebrew,
Yeah.
D&D for sure.
Hmm.
And yeah.
But I'm intrigued by some of the stuff that Hit Press is coming out with.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Are you
I
talking
have.
with Grim Hollow and that kind of thing,
Hmm.
or
Mhm.
Hmm.
yeah, they have some really good stuff. Hit Point
Yeah, they have
Yep.
good
Press,
stuff.
Cobalt Press has a lot of really good
Football
stuff
Press,
with
yeah.
Tales of the
Yeah.
Valley
Yeah.
coming now.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Um, I
There's definitely a few things that I've been intrigued by.
Sure.
we I had the opportunity to get where how my background getting into this whole craziness happened was by a company out of Colorado called GUI Cube. So I've been
Hmm.
working with them now for the last 3.5 years,
What a
and
great name.
they're an incredible
They're fun.
company.
They're so fun.
That's amazing.
Any convention that you're at, if you see the guys running around in giant bright green shirts, that's us.
I love it.
That's
He's a
awesome.
marketing major, and he knew exactly what he was doing when he said bright
Oh,
green shirt for anybody who
very
plays
important.
or runs it. So
That is fantastic.
and it's a lot of dark fantasy. Kind of brings you back to the old school Forgotten Realm stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah, and
definitely is up my
and
alley.
I mean that's a big thing. Like I mean, I really like to pick apart the lore of things, the roots of things, and the amazing ideas that were put into D&D that were borrowed from mythology and legend and just the stories behind those
Hmm.
is just an incredible inspiration for storytelling. And that's 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 why I've mostly centered on D&D. Now, I would be wrong. I'd be lying if I didn't say that I would love to dabble with like Call of Cthulhu and the other RPGs. There's an Avatar, The Last Airbender one that
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do. There's a
You're like looking I know you
I was
are.
like, I
I
have
see
that
you.
one. It's laying around here somewhere.
There's a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers one that I want to do so
I
badly.
have that one too. So funny you're
But
saying that. So,
yeah,
and it's something that we're planning on doing for 2025 to start Tabletop Misfits because it's moving away from just being a show to being a platform. And one of the goals we want to do for 2025 is to start showing people that there are other TTRPGs outside there besides Dungeons and Dragons. So we have short form, 8 episode live plays that we're going to be running in things like Power Rangers and Avatar. I've got right now on our docket Power Rangers, Avatar, The One Ring, Werewolf, um, and I think I've got like 2 other ones. I can't remember what they are right now. But yeah, we're gonna be showing some of those off because I think they really they get kind of fallen behind because D&D is so big. And as
yeah,
much as I love Dungeons and Dragons, I've loved Dungeons and Dragons for years. There's so many other adventures out there that are just need to be at least shown off. So I have the Avatar one, but no one I game with wants to play it, as well as Humberwood campaign. Oh boy, Durgo, keep an eye out. Humblewood. If Distal is still in here, we already have plans for Humblewood. So, oh yeah, and Alien. We have Alien 2 coming. So,
Humblewood, that's another one.
yeah,
That's exciting.
but yeah, um, yeah, I can't tell too much about that though because if I do, a couple of the
Sure.
people in my crew are going to be like, "Yo, keep it quiet. Like
What you
we're
doing?
not ready to
What?
stop there."
Smack, smack. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's
I'm the
exciting.
cat. I like to let everything out of the bag too early. Is what I do.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But
Yeah, that's me. I'm the one.
but yeah, so if that's something y'all are interested in, we'd love to have you as part of that. Those
Yeah.
Absolutely.
one
That'd be
shot
fun.
small adventures. But
Yeah.
yeah, let's see
You
here.
know that.
So we've got some questions. I don't want to miss those as we're bouncing around here. So question number one that we got from Quizzical Monk, uh, I think one of your friends.
Yep.
If there was
One of
one
our
thing you were proudest of in the tavern, what is it, and how did you acquire it?
mm, in the tavern.
Would is this? There's quite a few answers.
Metaphorical, like in the tavern,
As
or
Ellen and
no?
Porter, yeah. I mean, as the actors,
Mm-hmm.
and I hate saying the actors because it is us.
Right.
Um, but as the everyday street clothes us, um, I think one of the proudest moments that I've had is seeing the ability that we have as a couple to lift each other when the other one is down. It's always a constant scale
Mm-hmm.
that is balancing itself out.
It
And
kind
it,
of works both tavern and real life.
yeah, and it is such an incredible thing to witness together.
And how did we acquire it? In high school, that's how we acquired
What's up?
it.
He's like, I said yes, and she said yes, and that's where it ended at that point.
That's right.
um, that's awesome. Is there any? Is there anything that has either been given to the tavern or any special item that you have a very strong um, connection to?
So
Real life Porter.
there's so many things. There's
Right.
so many things here that have been just gifts to us. And I gotta say, there's a few select ones that I got to spotlight.
Go for it.
One is the gelatinous cube in a jar,
Oh, look at
given
that.
to us by Striker, who he's
Who
in
is
he's
in
in
the
the chat.
channel? Yes,
Striker's
he is.
yeah, Striker's apothecary. Got little skulls in it. Very fun. Another one
There's
is
there's
So that's all. That's incredible.
your
Like I
obsession
said.
with your obsession with
we use
chocolate.
these a lot here.
Oh, look at
Um,
those. Those done from
yeah,
Hero
and these
Forge.
Yeah.
yeah,
Those
they
are
were gifted
awesome.
to us by someone. Uh, Great friend of ours too, great follower. But I gotta say, I'm very proud of this one that I won in a contest.
Hey, there you go. That is epic.
And let me tell you, Porter hates these things.
Oh, I
He
bet.
wishes he could just pile them in a fire and burn them, light a match, walk away. But this is incredible. I think this is absolutely incredible. It was 3D printed, hand painted,
Mm-hmm.
and gosh, it just brings life to the tavern for sure.
Anything related to a platypus for Porter. You can tell Porter gets very excited about what the things like that.
I love stuff.
I think for me, and this is just, I'm not to point out this stuff, but being able to work closely with other people has been really, really like, I know, like, I don't know how to explain that's part of the tavern, but that's part of the tavern.
One
Right.
hundred percent.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
like being able to work closely with people and, you know, working with different smaller creators, bigger creators, because we like to work with everybody. Like,
Yeah, and to add to that, as eclectic as this is and how beautiful this is, we could not be here without the people who visit the tavern. Um, that's what makes this place what it is. Absolutely. And so, yeah, I second that. I take back everything I said. Although some of y'all are in the chat. Love your gifts. I gotta say, but I agree with Elowen on that one. She takes the cake with that.
That's awesome. Is there I think the question was posted twice. So I don't think it's a different question. I have a question then. What is the one adventure or TTRPG that you have your eye on that you really want to try this year?
ooh, um, man, I Humblewood intrigues me. This
Mm-hmm.
is if I can do it. I don't know. But I did go in on a Kickstarter for the Floral Dragons from Hit Point
Mm,
Press. I'm
Mm,
intrigued by their Floral Dragon stuff because I'd love to be able to use that
nice.
into something. Um, just giving myself to do this the thing.
Hey, that's awesome.
amen to that.
Just need to do the thing.
I'm very excited about the Vecna Eve of Rune thing that's coming out. I want all the minis.
I want all the
I
minis.
want everything to do with that campaign. I'm very excited about that one.
I think one thing that as soon as we can, for those that know our living situation, as soon as we can get a place that's more stable,
A place we can go home for ever and all eternity.
um, um, we really want to start doing some campaigns, and we would love to be able to just do some of these campaigns with other people.
Yeah, we have several one shots that we've tailored ourselves that we want to bring to the world. So yeah, that's a big part too.
Yeah.
Ooh, here's a
How
good
about
one.
you?
What else we
Yeah,
got?
like
What else do we got in the tavern? We got a little bit of time left. Throw your questions out. Um, is there one story you've heard from a passing adventurer that you'd want? Hold on. Move this. Why is it? Okay. That you'd want told to each patron after. Any stories that have hit you the most? Ooh.
I mean, told to us by travelers. You
Yeah.
mean? Is that what they're saying?
I think that's what they're
yeah, what's where
saying.
you've heard from a passing traveler.
Gosh, there is nothing more incredible, and this is just talking about social media in a sense.
Yeah.
There's nothing more incredible than the mind of a commenter who is invested in storytelling.
There are some really good storytellers.
Oh my goodness, I love how inspiring their messages are. There is a video that we did recently over on YouTube and on other social media platforms where a traveler has their last drink at the bar, and they give a memento to Porter, a coin, just to remember them by. And as do the traveler disappears while Porter's inspecting the coin. And someone in the comments basically said that they told a full story about it,
Yeah.
and that it's the coin of remembering. And on your final breaths, when you're on death's door, this coin activates, and you're given 5 minutes with the people who have impacted you the most.
Oof.
Right?
Yeah.
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 Holy smokes. And that to me is just an amazing storytelling device right there. Whether that be for the end or the beginning of any campaign.
Yeah, it'd be a great finisher
Yeah.
or begin. Yeah, or
Right.
you
Yeah,
know that midpoint where you're like, oh,
Yep.
it's not over yet.
yeah,
So here's a
yep.
so we're gonna
Yeah.
kind of throw you on the spot on this one. What would be your character's most inspirational people that would pop up when you had that coin at this moment right now?
So, brief story of Porter,
Mm-hmm.
without giving. I,
Going to just
I don't
open
want to
it.
open a can of worms.
Don't open it.
So you're just going to have to take it
Exactly.
without me answering further questions.
Sure.
So Porter is the son of Asmodeus,
Okay.
and is a child of Asmodeus. He is a rare child of Asmodeus, one of his only child that was born as a human form.
Hmm.
Most descendants of Asmodeus turn out as tieflings, um, and other such beings like that. And Asmodeus wants nothing more than to wipe Porter from existence in history.
Ah.
Um, so Porter was raised by people that traveled with him, but more so beings of Palor. And one of those beings was a messenger known as the Solar, and that that messenger raised Porter to be the humble man he is now, um, setting the paths and boundaries. And so that would be the one person.
The solar would be the one that would show
The
up.
salt.
Hmm. So yeah.
That's good. And I'm not going to ask any more questions.
Mm.
Yeah.
I know those types of stories. I'm like, nope, don't need any more of that. So
Yep. They go down long roads.
Yep.
yeah. What about you?
Me, the question again because I got distracted.
Who would be the inspirational person that would pop up for the last
Oh,
5 minutes
for
if you needed to?
um, it would end up being the friend of Eloin's, because the friend of Eloin's taught her that it was okay to love and to be yourself and not always stand, um, with the parents. Uh, People, you don't have to always do exactly what you are told. You need to do what is best for you. And she taught just on the edge of that it's okay to be able to be you. And then Porter came in as a later on as a confirmation of like, no, look at me. I'm this kind of person, but you accept me for who I am. So why can't you accept yourself for who you are? So that's it would be that friend and that inspiration of being like, you be you, and it's okay.
The tavern keeper might have to hold on to this trick. This sounds like a fun one to add to
Mm-hmm.
the tavern of
Yeah.
tales.
Yep.
It's a
Yep.
fun one.
Um, so Durgo has one, and I cannot imagine this being a very short list because for me it would not be a very short list. Who is the person or group you've wanted to play with and haven't yet,
Yep.
and who are the people that you've wanted to play with and actually had the opportunity to play with? That would be a massive list.
I would love to just be a fly on the wall. I wouldn't have to even be at the table
You just want to be a fly.
for anything that Brennan Lee Mulligan is a part of. My goodness,
That man
that
has
that
a skill.
he is brilliant.
He's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I admit that I am really bad at listening to podcasts or watching things because I am just too. Remember that ADHD thing we talked about?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. I
That
got
is,
you. Trust me, I got you. I got like 5 things going on at once normally, or I can't do anything.
so I honestly, I don't do enough watching or research, but I just find that if I can sit down with just a good group of people that I have genuinely just enjoyed my time with,
Mm-hmm.
that is worth it. That would make me happy.
That's awesome.
I mean, Brennan would be pretty Brendan is pretty. I do know Brendan.
Also, the McElroys. I don't know.
Oh, the macaroni would be really fun.
Oh my gosh, the
The who?
McElroy family. The McElroy family. They originally had a podcast called My Brother and Me. Um, but
What's
the Adventure
the
Zone.
Adventure Zone?
Oh, okay.
Um,
Yeah,
my
they're
goodness,
funny.
it's just so brilliantly done, and their dynamic and just comfortability that they have with one another is
Yeah.
just so beautiful. I love it. I love it.
So I'm going to kind of spin this a little bit. What is
Mhm.
somebody outside of the TTRPG crew that you think would be a fun player to have at your table?
I got mine. I don't know if you've got one.
I'm thinking. You go because I'm thinking.
I'm gonna go with the option of dead or alive.
Okay.
Mr. Rogers. That
Hey, but really, actually,
I would cry. I would cry if that man was at my table, sharing his imagination in a character.
yeah,
My
I would
goodness.
take Robin Williams on that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we're talking about dead or alive,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
So what about
Yes.
alive?
Oh, right, alive. Man, I'm sorry, but there is just something about Shia LaBeouf that I find intriguing, and I would just say you would be a very interesting person to play D&D.
Oh yes,
Right?
absolutely, Shia LaBeouf. This one, not many people will probably know. His name is Olin Rogers.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
He started on YouTube, but he started. Have you ever heard of Balloon Shop or anything like that?
I have, yeah.
He started there with some friends, but he started from scratch on YouTube, just telling stories, which that is the
He is
qualification
so
for a
funny.
D&D player.
I
Right?
mean, he was
So, and his stories are so good, and it, just granted enough. I mean, he got his own TV show
Mm,
on TBS
the
called
final
Final Space. It
space.
got got 3 seasons. But I've actually met him a couple times. Incredible person, just an incredible person.
Yeah.
A lot of ambition, a lot of drive. I would love to have him at a table.
Mhm.
Okay.
There's a lot of people.
We're gonna take two more questions because I don't want to leave.
Okay.
Don't want to keep the tavern keepers up too late tonight.
Y'all are fine.
So we've got the one I just saw. Where'd it go? Oh, besides Elwin and Porter, do you have any other favorite character you've ever created?
um, oh gosh, everyone, lots of, if you know me, you know me. Sable is my mouse folk fighter, and she is the best thing in my life. I love that character so much. She is the quirky side, like the hardcore quirky side of me, with just a lot of spaciness to her, and she's fantastic.
I have a character duo. He's a fairy. His name is Borg, and he has an animal companion that is a runt of the litter blink dog. It's modeled after a corgi, and it is his steed. And they have no moral compass whatsoever. So it's just incredible how they work. They just don't understand how the world works, and it works in their favor.
I also really liked your chameleon.
I had a chameleon. That was my one of my first
That was your
characters.
first.
Lizard folk chameleon named Django Fett. You know, don't know where I got that from.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Those are great. Yeah, those are fun. I'm curious. Have you ever heard of? Have you done the Mouse Guard stories? Have you read any of
No,
those?
no.
No, Redwall, the Mouse Guard, where everything
I
is.
I I have.
Yeah.
I love the Red Wall. Love it.
I really
Fantastic
like
stories.
names also.
With you being a mouse folk, like
Um,
you have to read the Redwall. It's so good.
okay.
Yeah, the Red Wall.
Another character I do also like is my paladin. I do have an Avario elf paladin named Enrilla, and she's fantastic also. She's very much my chaotic, for lawful good person.
I've never done a lawful person. I can't.
You can't lawful.
I can't.
You can't.
I can't
You're too
lawful.
chaotic.
I can't lawful. I'm sorry.
I'd be interested to see you two at the table. It'd be a lot of fun. Um, I guess that's brings us to that question: who have you played with that was on your wish list that you got the luxury to play with?
Ooh. Um,
We've, I mean, we've played with Quincy,
we
Quincy's
played. I
Tavern.
don't think we haven't actually played with
I played with
Quincy.
Quincy.
You played with
Yeah,
Quincy. I have not. We have played in the same room as Quincy. I, but yeah, you played with Quincy.
I played with Quincy's Tavern. Very,
Um,
very fun.
but there are. I don't know.
No, Amy Vorpal. We played with her.
Amy Wolf,
Very
that's what
cool.
you have
How
to
was
play.
that?
We played
I'm
with
curious
we
on
played
that
That
with
one.
was
Amy Vorpal.
that was fun.
I played a half elf named David Halfelhoff.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
And me and her worked so well together. She played a character that had low wisdom, and so we worked so well together.
She was fantastic.
That's
She's
awesome.
really quick when she plays.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It depends. Like, if you play with people that are in the like AD&D early third edition phase, they play
mm-hmm.
very
Yep,
everything
very
moves
quick.
a lot faster
Yeah,
than we
Ready to
do in
rock.
fifth. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
most
that's
definitely. Yeah,
awesome.
she was great.
I do know
I
Mouseguard
would
does
say.
have a D20 system as well, but you know, there's
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Got dad duty,
Written
have
down.
to
Yeah.
run. Thank you, Striker, for stepping by at the tavern. Go take care of the kiddo.
Let's trigger.
Yeah, goodbye, my
That's what we
friend.
got to do. So, um, well, do we have any other questions for our tavern duo, or do we want to let them go for the evening? That's the question. Do you two have any
We're
questions
here.
for
We're
me?
here for your answers.
Do you have any
I am curious. What's the inspiration that got you to start doing this?
Yeah. Ooh.
So my inspiration originally started while I was in Aldafra, which is in the desert. We were a bunch of deployed guys. Me and one other individual landed there, and the second day found out both of us had the enjoyment for Dungeons and Dragons. We took it to a small area for called the MWR, which is where everybody hangs out if you're in the military after work when you're deployed.
Mm-hmm.
I had a bag of dice, and we went to the library, which is just nothing but a trailer that puts books in it for military
Yep.
folk. And we printed out 20 character sheets, and we just started rolling dice to build characters because we didn't have anything else to do. And within 2 weeks, we had a full table of 11 people, and we played for 6.5 months every night, pretty much,
That's
which was
incredible.
awesome. But throughout that, we had talked about coming back and starting a podcast. And we were going to call it Dungeons and Dog Tags. But then
That's awesome.
we found out that that's already a thing, so we couldn't do that.
Oh no.
And when I came back, I found out that the only person that was interested in actually doing this, was me. So I kept the story going. And I've always considered myself outside of the normal. So I picked Misfits because that's who I'm trying to recruit. I'm trying to find those people that have not gotten the opportunity to voice who they are and what they're doing in the world, and then realized that Dungeons and Dragons was so much of a part of me that I had to have it back. So when I got back from my deployment, I was like, nope, I'm starting my campaign back up. I have to have this in my life. It's keeping me sane. It's keeping my mental health in check. And then COVID happened, and I had to disperse my entire home table, which we all know that feeling. It's not fun.
Yeah.
But I got involved with a company out of Colorado called Gooey Cube, and I met an individual by the name of Corey Papatho- Corey P. We're going to call him that because I can never pronounce his last name.
No.
And you'll notice that we keep that because he was the secondary host we had for the first 5 episodes here before we really had an opportunity to bring one guest on. And then I challenged myself to get another guest. And then I said, you know what? I wonder if I can do this every week. And 128 episodes now.
Yeah.
At
Here we are.
maybe I might have had a dozen redone guests, so a new guest every week, and it's been an interesting journey to meet so many people that have done so many incredible things in this space, and watching how everybody is so excited to just be out to talk about what they're doing instead of. I don't have very many people. I've had a few here and there where they're either not interested or they're shy and they don't want to be on video, which at that point I kind of try to entice them a little bit. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
it's a small show, it's not very big, um, but it's been about 95% positive, and it's been an incredible
Oh,
experience.
awesome. That's
Um,
good.
That's awesome.
and it's opened
That's
up to
so
meeting
cool.
people like you two and all these other people. And the greatest thing I like about it is then once we get to put faces to people, then you show up at a convention and you actually meet these people, and there's
You're like,
almost
Sure,
this nostalgia feel hit kick
okay.
off.
sure.
Um, and this is part of how the tavern grew as it did. And about a year ago, we came up with the concept of the actual tavern. At first, it was just what can I come up with as a topic at the top of my head, bring a guest on, and we talk
Mhm.
about it. And then we brought into actual storytelling and the tavern portion of it, and that's where the character came back to life from the desert. So yeah.
I love that so much. I love that you've added that beginning part into
Yeah.
And not everybody does it, but those who want to play as a character are welcome to join themselves in the tavern.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I love it.
let's see here. I started 2E and played a homebrew with Dad's college friends, and have been playing since college.
Mm.
I wish I had been playing that long. I really had to take like I don't know, probably like a 10-year hiatus between
Mm.
college and life. It's like, I
And
hate to
life
Hmm.
say
is a good
that,
way
but
to put it. Yep.
it's life.
Hmm.
I played up until I was probably about 20, so about 5 or 6 years, and then I took a between like 22 to almost probably early or late 20s. I had that very short time where I would play like one campaign every few months, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And then I got sent away from my kids to Korea for a year, and that's when I got back into it the first time because I was like, "There's nothing else to do," and we met a group
Yep.
of people,
Yep.
Might as well.
and we found out that that was a really good way to connect with like-minded people in areas that you didn't have family. So it was an
Yep.
easy way to make friends, and if you wouldn't couldn't tell, I am the most quiet person in a normal area. But put me in a
We see it.
TTRPG experience, and I become much more talkative and am able to connect with people. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
now I sit here on Wednesdays and talk to amazing people like
I feel
yourselves.
like it brings people. I feel like it brings people out of their bubble a little bit more.
It
Amen
does,
to that.
I
yeah.
love it.
And I tell people all the time is it's the most cooperative and social game you'll ever play with people who don't want
Hmm.
to be cooperative and social.
Yep.
Like,
Hmm.
so,
Yep.
um, but yeah, that's the story of where the tabletop misfits came from. So, and
That's
I
amazing.
hated that logo for about 2.5 years before everybody else knows that logo. And I said, well, I can't change it now. So, because they
Yep.
kept telling me it looks like a sports team, and I was like, don't
I
like
can see
that,
that.
but at the same
Yeah.
I can see
time, it
that, but I
just
also
kind of
don't
grew with
know.
it. So now we're
It's
not changing
Now it's
it.
there.
So now it's there.
catchy. It's very catchy.
So yeah. So what? I guess we'll kind of spin that around. So what made you start this project?
um, so, as like everybody else, you get inspiration. Right? That's just inspiration everywhere. And so, Porter and myself have always enjoyed acting. We've always enjoyed helping people. Um, and
In
we're
fact,
just,
that's sorry, just chiming in. We started our relationship in that. We were part of a peer support group
mhm,
that went around
yeah,
to public spaces and acted out um,
like
scenes to help
prevention.
youth and students
Yep,
and kids
yep,
to stay away from sketchy situations and things like this. That's how we met,
yeah.
and that's just
that's funny. I just
Yeah,
thought about
that's
that.
living. Sorry, that hit me so hard. I just realized that
Yeah, I
right here
mean,
on the show.
literally like acting and helping people by back in that day, like prevention of, drugs and abuse and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And it's literally just kind of taken us from there to here. And so back in, obviously, 2020, when everyone was hiding, we just saw how toxic everything was getting on the
Oh, it
internet,
was terrible.
on
Yeah.
TikTok. And we just watched people being horrible and mean in comments and stuff like that. And we said, no, we're not going to do this. And so it took it took me, because I had the general idea, and I was like, hey, I have this idea. How do you feel about this? And then we took his tavern that he created in the campaign and pulled that into my brain process. And so with that together, we said, ah, you know what? I think we can do this. I think we can become a safe haven, a special place, an inspiration, and a feel good atmosphere within this horrible app.
And it was a
Within this
target of
horrible app.
right. It
I
was
love that.
the target was not to gain followers, but more so to reach audiences.
Mm-hmm.
That was our main target,
People
Yeah.
to be there.
specifically.
Right.
It has never been our goal to gain followers. It has never been our goal to reach milestones like that. It has always been our goal to impact and reach, and that's it.
And make someone's day, make someone's moment, help someone from literally us stopping them because they think when they see this video, it just it's and these comments that we've received, we are doing what we are supposed to do.
That's
and
awesome.
it's being this light, this beacon here on the interwebs.
So as long as there's a charge of electricity that we are getting, we will not stop.
Yeah.
This will be our calling until we find the next one, basically. So.
And I love the amount of content you guys produce. It's always positive, and there's so much, which is great. I'm always curious on content creators how they come up with continuing skit after skit after skit.
ADHD.
I was like, oh, okay, makes sense now. Okay, got it.
It's a superpower, I guess you could
No,
say.
it's one of those you just it's the what am I feeling at this moment? What do I need to hear?
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of our inspiration stuff. Or it's how can I make this sound or this thing work to either hit TTRPG, fantasy, movie related funny stuff. It's just and it just goes.
It's like DMing when you want to create a story and you want to have those key elements in there.
Mm-hmm.
How do we put those in there? And so that's kind of how we've adapted in the mindset of a DM or a storyteller.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, this is a great question to end the evening. What is the best end of shift tavern tradition that Elowen and Porter do?
Closing time.
No.
Funny story on that. I was in Tennessee and we were eating at a restaurant and they definitely at 11 o'clock played that and I was like, I feel targeted. Yeah.
Well, considering that the tavern, because Elowen technically being an elf, doesn't really sleep.
Yeah.
So
Meditates.
It's more of a pat husband on the bed, get children ready for bed, and send them all on their way while Elowen runs the night shift.
I like it.
She's so loyal and so kind to us.
Yes.
She makes sure that the light never dims in the tavern. It's beautiful.
That's right.
So, well,
always around at nighttime. So.
I have to say, you two have been an absolute joy to have here at the tavern, and I hope you guys can come back in the near future. Maybe we can play a game together, either in real life, which would be absolutely the better option, or online, because that's what we have to do nowadays in this world.
Yeah.
Thank you to your audience and the people that have come from your group to come hang out over here. The best way that we can, of course, get more people to see this kind of stuff is for your help. That's all we ask for is that you like, share, follow, those kinds of cool things like that. They cost absolutely zero, and they do so much for people when you have no idea. So once again, thank you. Do you have any last words you would like to say as we close down for the night?
Um, we need a closing line.
Hail, howdy, and goodbye.
How do you goodbye? I like it. Any
Thank you, thanks for being here, and thanks for letting us be a part of the channel.
Yeah.
no, thank you.
Yeah, we know you know where to find us, and we know where to find you, and hopefully they all know where to find all of us.
That's awesome, and I agree. Well, I am the Tavern Keeper. This is Tavern Talks. You can see us every week at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Wednesdays. Next week's guest is Blake DeRusha. He is currently building a documentary on the 50 years of Dungeons and Dragons. So we're going to have an interesting conversation of how that's working. He's meeting with people like Luke Gygax, Stefan McCorney, Ernie Gygax, and all these people that have been a part of the growth of Dungeons and Dragons from the beginning till now. I'm looking forward to hearing what he had to say and how all this has become a thing, and maybe he'll even bring a character to the tavern. Who knows? But if you think that this was a lot of fun, come check us out on Monday nights over at Gen Con TV, as I am the game master over there for our Icewind Dale campaign. And keep an eye out for all the socials as we continue to evolve and change as Tabletop Misfits becomes a platform and not just a show, as we bring new people on as game masters and new TTRPGs to follow. Thank you all. Raise your glasses high. Cheers. This is Last Call. We'll see you guys all next week.